Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag live if you're watching live, hashtag replay if you're on replay. So I had a wonderful session with a client today, and we uncovered some areas that they were having some fear about a few things, and we uncovered a lot got broken through, and a breakthrough of sorts. And these things are wonderful and beautiful to watch, because it's almost like that butterfly coming out of the cocoon, right? It's like you can see in somebody's eyes and in their facial expressions that they're having this aha moment. They're working through something. And I think a lot of the barriers that we have as humans, we've created ourselves, and we don't even know why they're there, but we've carried them through so long in our lives that they just present themselves. They're fears. And it's like, if you didn't know that a snake would bite you, would you be fearful of it? And I think the answer to that is going to be no. If you didn't have fear of something, would you act differently? And the answer to that is yes. So how much of our programming that we got where we're like knee-high to a grasshopper, okay, to where we are currently, have we acquired because of experiences that we've had in the past that were something, but we have manifested them to be almost to this iconic level, and iconic's probably not the right word, but this level that they just hold this control over us. These fears. It's like, I'm fearful of this because that. I watched my parents divorce, and so I'm fearful of jumping into a relationship because I'm afraid that is going to happen. And I remember how that made me feel. I mean, that isn't a personal story for me, but that's an example. It's like we watch these things, and then we adopt them, and then we shame ourselves, and we hold guilt over ourselves for years, sometimes entire lives, because of these experiences that either we had or we watched somebody else have. And then we manifest these fears into becoming this larger than life thing. And all of our behavior is adapted towards it. I really feel like sometimes people's fear of getting into the best shape possible has more to do with actually attaining it than it does the process in which it takes to get it. Because they're either afraid of failing or they're afraid of succeeding. Because what would happen if I'm a success? What happens if I break through that glass ceiling that everyone has always taught me doesn't exist and can't be done? And I've told myself that it can't be done because the internal narrative is now coming outward. And so I am projecting my internal thoughts to my outside behavior. So I'm creating the environment in which I exist. And thus, I don't get the result. And then what do? Then I solidify it by complaining about it, or searching for something that's going to solve the problem when the problem can be solved right here. And I go back to this session that I had today that was just it was just awesome, because I got to see somebody grow within my own eyes. I didn't do anything. The only thing that I did do was I asked questions. And I think that sometimes is the missing component that we have in all of us. Is if we can't ask ourselves the question, who do we turn to ask ourselves, to be asked the question, to bring the best out of us, to thus figure it out in ourselves that this is the problem, this is the solution, and here's the game plan. It's a beautiful thing. you know, I've made it a personal mission of mine to conquer my insecurities, to conquer my inner things that I've got, my inner shit. But also through that, through being able to knock down so many walls of my own, I make it a personal mission of myself is to coach people to do the same. Because if you don't clear up the things that are inside of you, you're only capable of so much. Talked about happiness yesterday. It's like we think we need these things to be happy, but we don't. What we need to do is to get rid of the things that are preventing us from just being us, from preventing ourselves from being happy. You're enough. You're always going to be enough. The problem lies in the fact you don't think so. And your behaviors are dictated because of it. And thus that leads to suffering. It leads to depression. It leads to anxiety. It leads to unhappiness. It leads from one weight loss program to another, to one workout program to another, never really finally eclipsing the place that you want to be because you hold yourself back. Unknowingly sometimes. I'd like to help you with that. And I use the word help. Friends help. Coaches coach. But in the context of the conversation that we're having right now, I want to coach you and I want to help you. All it requires for you is to reach out. Because it can be done. We can break through these walls. Because the things that you think about, that constant thought that you have in your mind that holds you back from doing something in your life or multiple things, those things can be worked through. To break them so that you can finally be the best version of you. Drop it in the comment section, direct message me, whatever the case may be. All it is a phone call. It's a discovery call. Figure out where you are and what you're ready for. Hashtag value if you found value in this video. Buff Gandhi. Oh, by the way, this is my charity, Operation Joy. We give bikes to kids who have special conditions so that they can be active and not allow their conditions to keep them on the sidelines so they can be just as active as other kids.